What's going on, creators? Yeah, I just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me today. Yeah, I'm kind of switching things up, creating a new playlist that's really kind of geared towards like entrepreneurs and like really creating businesses, creating things in your life, creating things in your community, creating things for others, and sharing that with you guys. And so yeah, kind of leaving off from the last couple of topics of creating a business and working on creating a cafe through basically the profits from my handyman business. I want to just share that with you guys so you guys can see that it's possible and how it's being done without getting loans from the banks. And it's more about just flipping money. And so starting off this week, I got a $700 painting job to do. I was supposed to do it tomorrow, but it's supposed to snow for some reason. It's like 65 today. Tomorrow it's supposed to be in the 30s and 40s with rain, and then below 30 at night. And then the following day is supposed to be basically the same kind of weather. And so that painting job is getting pushed towards the end of the week. Now, kind of what's on the agenda is kind of got a checklist item, and with that checklist, I got an additional flooring job, which is an additional like $500. And so I think starting that off, it was I think it was 400-ish sounds about right, off the top of my head. So I got $700 for the week plus, let's do 400 plus the additional 500 for the flooring. So I'm at about $1,600 in sales for the week so far, and it's only Monday. I put out 2 other quotes that are about $2,000. I'm supposed to be meeting with over the phone Work One, which is like the unemployment agency, the government agency or whatever. Try to find some people, because that's like the new struggle, the new obstacle or whatever is finding people. For some reason, I guess from what the chamber was saying is like with the stimulus checks or whatever, it's getting harder to find staff and retain staff, and which I don't necessarily believe that's a real problem. It's just something that's presenting itself in the moment as like some drama to overcome, which is about typical with creating anything new. It's like you got a lot of resistance that might come up, some drama, some stories that we tell ourselves of why we can't grow a business or help others, employ others with a good paying job, and a mutually win-win situation. There's a lot of programming and drama that might start to emerge, and then physically take on some sort of a situation like not being able to find people. But I continue to kind of stack these jobs basically, just with the just kind of the faith that eventually staff will show up. The dream team will arrive and be able to help me get these things knocked out. The other end of it is like I got a kind of a lead on kind of a big job, a property flipping job, which would be my brother's old house. Part of this, how these bridges of incidents are coming together, is kind of putting it out there. I'd like to do that, flipping houses, mainly because I can use the money from doing that, the profit from doing that, to finance the cafe, and do it fairly quickly. And my brother, he's like at the moment trying to sell his house for like $80-something thousand, when his house is probably worth 115-ish to 120 if it was fixed up a little bit. He's trying to sell it as is because he doesn't want to mess with it. And so not hard to make that jump of like, okay, well, if you can get a construction loan or something and you could pay me to fix it up, and then we basically sell it, and what the difference is, he can make some money and I can make some money, and and split it like that. I've done that before. I had a guy that was going to sell his house. It was a rental property for like, I don't know, he was so like just mentally done with it. It was like, I think he was trying to get like 50 grand for it, and like the house I think was worth like 80 or 90. And he was just like done. He was an older guy, and he had like some vacation houses and stuff, and like he just did a local rental property house, and I guess it just had some drama with it, and it wasn't what he thought, and it wasn't a very good investment, he said, compared to his like rental property houses, which are, you know, very very profitable, he said. But like yeah, this one wasn't. But I was able to help him get it flipped, and he ended up, I think, making like $30,000 more, you know, just from being my help, I guess, you know, flipping it for him. And I hooked him up with a nice real estate agent that was able to sell it fast. And so, yeah, I could continue on that kind of flow and continue with the flow for today. I'm working on, yeah, I got some properties to mow before it snows. And so I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to like kind of check into with like, I'm working on, getting my finances, you know, better to show you guys, you know, you know, I still got electric bill to pay, which is almost $500, which I just checked, because now I got a late fee because it was due about 5 days ago. But I'm sitting on about, you know, $400 just cash, which can pay most of that. But I'm waiting till probably tomorrow. I'm going to move like the painting job later on the week when it's done being cold, and so I'm gonna work on that that checklist item. I'll just start with like the floor, make that $500, and then use that to pay the electric bill, and then the remaining 400 from that job will be profit. Everything else, you know, as far as like bills, for me are done. You know, I've paid everything for the month, which, you know, it's like almost the end of the month now, which is not a big heroic job. You know, it's like I got the end of this week and next week, and then we're into May. And so, but I like that, you know, getting everything done and paid for in the next couple days. So then I'll be in the black the rest of the month. You know, it means profits, you know, basically, you know, sitting above like the, you know, the bill collectors are coming, knocking on the door and stuff like that. But, you know, the goal, you know, is to continue on to continue to stack these jobs. But like part of like the difficulty in finding people, I guess, is just like I think it's all kind of an illusion. I think you know, most of it, you know, has to do with just, you know, some limiting beliefs, you know, of like, oh, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself type thing. And so, you know, facing that, which I'm, you know, doing actively at the moment, and letting go of those types of things, something I'm kind of working more on, and letting, you know, the abilities of others kind of shine, and really, you know, focusing more on kind of creating a team. You know, that's next on the agenda, and being able to like take care of that team with like, commission incentives and stuff like that, to like share in the abundance of like, oh, doing a good job, you know, pays off. And so you know, regardless of what's going on in the world, you know, it's just like what's going on in my local area is kind of my focus. You know, where can I affect change? And that's right here and now, and you know, my surrounding environment, and how can I make that better? You know, that's kind of like the checklist things, is the things I want to start kind of moving towards creating, you know, and sharing that with others, and showing that, you know, it's possible to do. And not only is it possible, it's easy, and you know, it's all spiritual. You know, so it's like getting rid of the humps of like feeling like a separate little ego, and really using more of like, you know, consciousness and quantum science, and you know, the laws of God, you know, basically to you know, create and sustain a business here locally, and you know, share that. And so that's kind of like the flow so far. Yeah, next on the agenda today is the mowing, and you know, what else? Oh, you got one more window, you know, one more customer's windows to wash, and then yeah, at the same time, one of my customers just called me on a lead to get some employees. I guess he's got a cousin or something, or a family member that's like does like a landscape business seasonally, and what he does is he ends up like tapping the local college in like the city about 40 minutes away, and like recruiting like a landscape team from people that are like in college to do landscaping or whatever. And you know, supposedly it works out really well for him, and so he's going to hook me up with that information. And so I got a meeting at 1:30 with Work One, the unemployment, you know, the government unemployment office, and they're supposed to help me, you know, basically once I fill out these forms and have a conversation, a meeting with them, you know, it's supposed to be a, yeah, then they'll start sending me referrals and like putting my open positions on like a message board or something. We'll see how that flow goes. I've never done that before, but a lot of this is like facing the unknown. Who knows what's going to go on, and then it's keeping hope that it's going to play out. So many times you get these cycles of drama. A lot of it comes from when you're facing the unknown. And then it's like, oh, the worst case scenario just manifested. and it happens over and over again. It's to the point where you just like being like a creator, creating jobs, creating, employment opportunities for others. You start to see these patterns. It's like, oh, here's the drama. Here's starting something new that's going to, the subconscious and from the old man is now presenting itself, and then when you face the challenge with and instead of choosing fear, which is what the ego mind likes to do when facing new obstacles, and especially when it comes to money, there's a lot of drama that comes with money, and a lot of like spiritual drama when you're starting to put the power outside of yourself, when you realize that the kingdom of God is within you. And so when you connect with God within, the external situations and circumstances, and this is even some of the stuff that in quantum science, if you go to like Tom Campbell and his big toe theory, which is a unified field theory, really trying to get it more into consciousness and how you can use these dynamics to create, and not only create but create without creating a pendulum, as like the transurfing people would talk about, where it's just like a draining, it's almost like you build your own little prison. You start a business and it just turns into a pendulum of suffering and constant worst case scenarios and anxiety and fear. All this is about moving in a direction of love and not scarcity and fear, but really showcasing abundance and prosperity, and sharing that with others by being the example of that. But like there's so many times where you get these choices that present themselves every time. It's like, are you going to choose the voice of fear and scarcity when you're doing your business? You're going to stay in a constant worry and anxiety when the drama comes? Or are you just going to just like, oh, there's the drama, and laugh at it, and you not take it seriously? Because when it happens predictably in a pattern, you start to realize that it's not really that big of a deal. Once you face that fear enough times, and instead of choosing fear, to choose, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus, sit here and worry about these types of things? Or would choose love instead? And so start choosing love and stop reacting. That's a big part of like the old man is always reacting to the outside external situation, circumstance. Instead of creating, by being still and being in the moment, being in the present, and choosing love. And that has to do with cash flow. Stop making reacting on scarcity. Realize that you can be, do, or have anything, and not to sit here and be a slave to the outside situation or circumstance. Recognize that is an opportunity to grow and to expand and to let go of a limiting belief or programming. You're taking new action. So when something happens, where it's like drama and you're tempted to fear, realize that it's an opportunity to stand still, be still, and just connect with that inner being. What feels good, what feels right, and what feels like the next move. Ask God, ask, believe, receive. That's a real thing. The problem is like with the law of attraction, maybe a law of assumption type things. And not necessarily saying it is, but what has been a stumbling block for me in using that, applying that, is like, having the vision be in the future. It's like, in the future, I'll have a successful business, or in the future, then I'll make it. It's got to, be sometime in the future. It can never be now. It's always sacrifice and grind now is what the ego mind likes to do in the moment. But letting go of that and realize now is like the only time that's actually real. So if you're not maintaining your peace and your abundance and your joy, your health, your wellness, your wholeness now, this is a good time to get drawn back into the present moment. Realize that, you're already whole and complete. Everything is in God's control. You don't got to worry about it. You just got to be available to say yes when things happen, or figure it out through doing. Through the doing of it. There's so much. So important, because it's so often you might face a fear. I'll face it when starting and make like a new job that might be big or scary, or just like, I don't know how I'm going to pull this one off. But through taking small doable steps, like yesterday I was like, we're going to do chickens in our backyard. I got like I don't want to say like a barn, but it's like a shed. It's big enough I could put a car in there, and like it's starting to fall apart. And so yesterday, I just bought a box of 3-inch screws, and I was like, well, first step, I just need to resecure things and get it a little bit more structurally sound, because it doesn't feel safe in there if it's blowing wind. It feels like it could collapse. And so I was like, oh well, I'll just start with that. And and there's crap in there. It's just like it just needs. Everything needs to be thrown out, it feels like, and gone through and reorganized. And before we put the chickens in there, which is like probably next week, we're gonna get these chickens. My wife's already looking at chickens to buy, and we're just doing egg birds, and at the same time thinking, oh, if we get some chickens, maybe we'll get some free eggs for the cafe if you're gonna do something with eggs in it, and like but if not, more for ourselves, just to eat eggs that are fresh, and have a good energy, because you know the condition of like the birds and stuff. And not to say that you need to like personify the birds, like my mom has had chickens, and sometimes they can be really aggressive and mean, and like stuff like that. And so not to get too whatever, with like animal farming or whatever, but like it was just like a hot mess, basically. But it's just like, just start like at the easy spots, getting some screws into things, and then it turned into like an all day thing. And then at the end of the day, it was pretty much done. Everything's secured, structurally sound, and it just took those first couple steps. It's like, oh, now, and then watch the next step unfold, and it's like no different. It's just being able to stand in that initial fear and just do something manageable. What can you do next? What is something tangible you can do? And it's crazy as you start to do that. What kind of thoughts start to emerge that are different than what the ego mind likes to recreate the past, and always thinks it knows what's going on in the present moment based on past experience. But everything is new and everything's unique. How often do you have a similar problem when you're doing new things? It's like, from my experience, it's like everything is like new. It's like, so trying to go through the lens of the past to try to problem solve in the present for something that you've never done before, it's, there's a usefulness, but then there's also a hindrance. And so finding that balance of like, okay, what can I do now before I feel overwhelmed and just want to shut down, and so just taking those action steps, and that's basically the flow of like today and into tomorrow, getting these jobs done. It's like, okay, what kind of action step can I take today that makes sense? And it's like I keep stacking these jobs, getting further and further. It almost feels like behind, but it's not really being behind. It's just okay, well, there's a shitload of stuff now piling up. I thought I'd have a problem of paying people to help me do jobs, but now I have an opposite problem where it's like I got plenty of money to pay for help to get the jobs done, but now I don't have people. And so it's always something different and something new. It's all about the mindset, though. As you're tackling these things, as you're creating new things, realize that God's already created everything. That all you got to do is walk into the new life, and to do that without gripping onto fear, which is an illusion. But by doing, you ultimately prove it to yourself that it is an illusion, and that you're capable of doing things far beyond what you thought was possible. And so I just wanted to bring that to you guys, attention, awareness, or whatever on some level, and just kind of share what's going on in my personal life, and to do this new playlist, with the hope of like inspiring others if they're maybe dealing with I don't know, life situations that don't resonate in their inner being of like, oh, this is what I want to do. Not everybody wants to create a business and do stuff like that. Obviously, from what I'm learning, it's like it's very important to have people that are just want to I just want to go to a job and I just want to do it. I want to do it well, and I want to have opportunities. And everybody has a different puzzle piece, and so there's other aspects of life where you can create. You can create gardens. You can create volunteer opportunities. There's so many things you can create. I mean, you're not a powerless little peon. You're a powerful being with unlimited creative potential. And I just want to share that with you guys, bring that to your attention, and at the same time, kind of just share what's going on with my little adventure of life. And so I'll keep you guys posted on, the progress of the jobs, what's going on new. I'm going to try to keep, maybe, show like a balance sheet, because I always like those on shows where it's like, it shows you what it costs, what the profit is and stuff like that. I find that interesting. Like Storage Wars or something does that, and there's a bunch of shows that do that. And so I'm going to kind of do that with the Handyman Business, just to show you guys, that you can, start a business. You can be self-employed at least. There's a little bit of a difference between self-employment. Self-employment's easier because you're the one spinning all the plates and everything, and there's definitely enough abundance for you to live comfortably, doing all sorts of stuff in your local area, and and just to be transparent, show what's coming in, what's going out, and stuff like that. I'm just better at getting the money, getting the jobs, and then just doing the jobs. So part of my flow is trying to get better at the things I'm weak at, and if I can't get better at it, hiring that to be done. I'm supposed to be meeting with an accountant. I got to set that up and everything, but got all that stuff from the chamber that I still got to kind of mess with and stuff. And so with that being said, I just wanted to kind of change directions a little bit in this playlist. If you're used to some of my other content, this is a little bit different, kind of a similar vibe, but just wanted to kind of, it seemed like the other playlist is more of like mental health, well-being, staying present, getting your mind renewed, but then I wanted to show another side of being another side of being, I guess, where you can take action and really enjoy your life, your new life that God's given you, and take it to the max. It's just like you're blessed now, and time to show it. Show I guess on some level, but it's like get out there, do it, and whatnot. So instead of just stammering, I think I'm gonna bounce. I appreciate your guys' time, your attention. I appreciate your support in the physical and in the non-physical. Hopefully, this is the first of many on like the creating journey, and showing how all these things kind of manifest through a bridge of incidents, and how those bridges of incidents come together. If you're unfamiliar with that kind of terminology, definitely check out Neville Goddard and some of like the metaphysics books out there, like Think and Grow Rich, and there's like Napoleon Hill, and I like The Impersonal Life by Joseph Benner. There's a bunch of these types of books, but really just applying them, and showing others that there's really something to that. And so with that being said, thanks for listening. I appreciate it, and until the next now, have a good rest of your day, and God bless.